Corporation, the Municipality of Central Elgin. It is Monday, January 26th. Here in the council chamber, we welcome those who are in attendance as well as those who are joining us virtually. Questions or comments? Disclosure of pecuniary interest, any colleagues? I would like to declare a pecuniary interest with respect to the cost of living adjustment, as I have done in the past, as I have a family member employed by the municipality. Thank you. On to reports. Our first report is from the Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer, Mr. Jansen. If I could get a mover and a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Bachmann. Thank you.
Mayor Sloan, the motion for that will be moved by Deputy Mayor Noble, seconded by Councillor Bachmann, that bylaw number 2026-05 be adopted.
Discussion.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Would you like a summary of it, or?
Well, I'll tell you. We have a couple of options as we've done in the past. We can either go around council and ask if they have some specific questions. If you'd like to go into a bit of an overview, that's up to you. What would you feel comfortable with, Mr. Jensen?
I can provide a brief overview. So the rates and fees schedule, we didn't change in 2025. So the rates and fees that you see before you tonight include, for the majority of the rates, are two CPI adjustments, one for 2025 and one for 2026. So that should equal about a 4% increase from all the rates. Staff did go through and review all of the services offered through the municipality. We removed services and fees that are no longer applicable, and we added new rates or new services with fees for services that are being provided.
Perfect. Sorry, Councillor Graham? Oh, Mr. Jensen, if we could hear your voice a little louder, sir. Questions, comments? Council? Anyone like to begin? All in favor? Sorry. Oh, sure. Ask a question. Councillor Griffin.
Thank you. Through you. The one question I did want to ask was about the water fee schedule, and I'm not sure whether you guys had an order for which things you'd like to go through here, but I did wonder, I see in our footnotes that the water schedule was written based on the assumption that we're going to keep things matched to what St. Thomas is doing. And I do think that there's some simplicity in that, but I don't think it acknowledges that St. Thomas does not have the same tourist situation that we do with Port Stanley. And I would ideally like to see us have a fee schedule that makes sure that our broader community that lives here permanently is being supported by tourism rather than feeling that they subsidize it. So was that something that's examined, and how did we end at the one that we are at? And is that something that needs consideration?
Questions? Or, did you want to speak to it, Mr. Jensen?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. For the wastewater charges, the change in the cubic meter was because that's a fees that we're paying through the city of St. Thomas. So we were at $2.85 a cubic meter. We're being charged $2.99 for any treatment through St. Thomas. So we raised ours to $2.99 for full cost recovery.
Thanks, Mr. Jensen. Councillor Griffin.
Thank you. Through you. As I said, I do understand that it was done because St. Thomas did it, and we're looking for cost recovery. And I certainly agree that we want cost recovery. We don't want to be spending into debt to provide water. But did we look at models where we know how much water on average is being used in our system? Did we look at any models where we tried to increase the flat rate by a certain amount and the cubic by a certain amount so that we could, in a perfect world, have the flat rate that all households are paying help to support on the cubic?
I don't believe so. We talked about having cost recovery because we were charging less than we were paying St. Thomas, so we put it up to what we were paying, which I think the committee thought was prudent. Does anyone from the committee wish to comment? Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor, it seems like that we've always kind of compared our wastewater costs to St. Thomas, and the fact that we're actually at an even number now, because everybody was constantly complaining, Going back to when we got elected, that was one of the biggest challenges was wastewater. So now we're actually charging and we're equal to the cost in St. Thomas. So I don't really comprehend the concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, through you. My concern is that there are two pieces to our payments, our bills, when we do wastewater and water. You have a flat rate and a cubic rate, and every single household in our system is paying the flat rate every month, but people are paying the cubic rate based on use. Now, in St. Thomas, that might be consistent pretty much throughout the year, but for us having as much tourism as we do, we have lots of households in Port who pay that flat rate every single month, but don't really use any water at all in the winter. So for us, if you charge more for the flat rate, what that does is causes the properties that are Airbnbs and things like that to pay a little bit more because they're paying it even in the winter, which helps to offset the cost of the cubic for the people who live year round. So what I'm trying to understand is, did we look for models other than being identical to St. Thomas to try and make that more reflective of our community?
Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor, the people that are using it are paying for what they use. So you're paying for the service is one. So in the monthly rate, you're paying for the service to be able to use it. And then for the cubic rate, you're paying for the actual usage. So that it kind of seems like it makes sense to me. I don't see where there's like you're paying for a service that whether you use it or not, you still have to have that hookup. So it's similar to when we put in sewer lines where folks that do not hook up to that sewer line right away when it goes by their house, they still have to pay for that service to go by their house. No different than paying taxes and paying for a road. If you're away for the winter and you're not using that road, you still pay the same amount in taxes for the usage of that road.
So I think the answer is no to your question about modeling. Sorry. I think that the reason it went from 285 to 299 was because that's what we were paying St. Thomas for it. So we thought that the taxpayer should be, that it would be pragmatic to charge what they're charging us so that we didn't have to subsidize it. Councillor Graham was on the committee. Councillor Graham.
Through the chair to Mr. Jansoon. Now that's loud. Hypothetically speaking, if you were looking at what Councillor Griffin said and we were raising the flat rate and keeping the variable rate lower to accommodate permanent residents in Port Stanley rather than the cottagers in Port Stanley, do you think that it would cost the permanent residents more money by increasing the flat rate rather than the variable over a period of time?
Sir?
So I just did some calculations here. The variable rate drives about $69,000 of additional revenue. We would need to increase the flat rate by $1.42 a month. So right now it's $44.17. That would need to increase by $1.42 to break even.
And in doing so, you take away any incentive for conservation. Would that not be correct? Thanks. Councillor Graham.
But hypothetically speaking, would that cost permanent residents more money in the long term?
Pardon me, Councillor. Would it not depend on how much they use it?
If their usage maintains the same amount, I think it would be, you would have to, like, unless you can figure that out, I can't figure that out in my brain right now.
Deputy
Sorry.
Mayor wants to comment.
If you keep the flat rate increasing, keep the variable rate at the same level, people are still using the same amount of water. Does it benefit the people that are here on a permanent, not here, in Port Stanley on a permanent basis versus the cottagers?
Mr. Jensen, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I don't believe we looked at it that way. We treated Central Elgin as a whole, and we just tried to look at the consumption. And under the Deputy Mayor's comment, the more you're using, the more you're going to pay.
Okay. Deputy, do you want to speak?
Through Through you, Mayor, is the goal to penalize people that use the service less? Because like if your goal is to promote less consumption, you're doing the reverse of what we want to do environmentally.
Thank you. Counselor?
Through you, thank you. No, I do understand your point about wanting to encourage people to conserve water, absolutely. For us, the counterbalance point is that we have, I think our report on Airbnbs said that we estimated we had over 1,000 of them or something in port that had been actively happening. And I'm sure that we're going to get more numbers on that now that we have, licensing in place. But meanwhile, we have whole properties that go unused all winter, and those properties, if they are paying flat rate through the winter that's slightly higher, are contributing more toward the total capital for everyone who lives here, which, considering that those are properties that could otherwise be used for actual permanent housing for families in our community, if they're not doing that, the least they could be doing is contributing more so that that capital costs less for our permanent residents who are here year-round when those costs do arise.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks, can I ask you a question? Do you know how many houses there are in Port Stanley?
Based on the garbage cart system that we have, I'm going to roughly estimate about 6,200.
6,200 homes? Thank you. Okay, so I think we're going to move along if there aren't any other questions on this particular file. Does anyone else have any other questions for Mr. Jensen? I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. I'm just going to have a quick side. Pardon me, I have a little bit of a mistake here, which is my own doing. All those in favor of the fees? So we're on DCS 0126, pardon me, Councillor. The report from the Director of Corporate Services on the fees, DCS 1026. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Here's why I had consideration of the proposed bylaw, a budget ahead of this, so that's why I was a little bit. So, pardon me, Mr. Jensen, council members, my own writing is sometimes illegible. On that note, now we're at consideration of the proposed 2026 budget. At this time, I'll call upon Mr. Jensen for introductory remarks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We chose not to do a presentation because the information that was presented to the committee and to the general public in December still holds true today. I'd like to ask that we consider any questions that you may have for the budget. I know I've met with many of you already, but we're here to answer any questions that you have, so please ask. And with that, I turn it back to council.
Thank you, sir. Questions and comments from council? Councillor Bachman, please.
Since we're just adding comments, I think it's a testament to the fact that we don't have a lot of questions as to the quality of the report that was presented from Mr. Jansoon. Going through this report, I was going through and I was writing questions down, and then I'd look in the side notes and go, oh, there's the answer. And I found it very easy to follow. I found your notes very precise, and I'd like to thank you for that report because I did find it easier to follow, and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bachman. Other councillors have any questions? Councillor Watson, sir.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, to Mr. Jansoon. Is there an easy way, like this is a nice, simple report. We've been through 4 of these now. We really appreciate this one. But there's a lot of talk out there that maybe we're taking away from reserves a lot. Is there an easy way where we can find out how much we're putting into reserves and how much we're taking out, just to quell some of the concerns of the constituents? And I can get that at a later date too. Thank you.
Mr. Jensen.
Through you, Mr. Chair, very good question. This year, we did make improvements to the budget compared to the 2025 budget. If you look at the reserve schedule, the answer lies there, but if I remember correctly, we are actually contributing about 400,000 more to reserves than what we're drawing down this year. That wasn't the case in 2025, but this proposed budget does have a 2% tax levy increase to the tax rate, and that money was directed to reserves.
Counselor? Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Any other questions or comments? Floor is now open for members of council who wish to ask questions of administration and introduce any proposed amendments to the budget in the form of a motion. On receiving a seconder, there will be an opportunity to discuss and debate the motion before calling the vote. If there are no further proposed amendments, I will ask whether council is agreeable to shortening the legislated amendment period, which will deem the budget adopted as of today's date. If all are in agreement, I will ask for a motion to do so. Councillor Griffin.
Could I propose that we explore other pricing models on the water and wastewater rates, even if we do pass the rest of it today?
I think you'd need a seconder. Councillor Graham.
Mayor Sloan, the motion would read, moved by Councillor Griffin, seconded by Councillor Graham, that alternative pricing models for water and wastewater rates be investigated.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion fails.
Could I please ask for a recorded vote?
Sure. Would you like to record the vote, Ms. Leach?
Councillor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Griffin,
Yes.
Councillor Watson,
No.
Councillor Connors,
No.
Councillor Bachman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Noble,
No.
Mayor Sloan.
No.
That's defeated.
We can move on to the bylaw. Any further? Seeing none. Bylaw number 1. Oh. Is council in agreement to shorten the legislated amendment period, which would deem the budget adoptive as of today's date? All those in favor? Oh, I need to move her in a second. Councillor Watson, Councillor Griffin, thank you.
Mayor Sloan, the motion reads, moved by Councillor Watson, seconded by Councillor Griffin, that pursuant to subsection 7.4 of Ontario Regulation 530.22 under the Municipal Act, the budget amendment period be shortened to conclude on January 26, 2026.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Bylaws. Number 1, can I get a mover seconder for bylaw 202605, the fees bylaw? Deputy Mayor, Councillor Watson. Thank you.
Mayor Sloan, the motion reads, moved by Deputy Mayor Noble, seconded by Councillor Watson, that bylaw 2026-5 be read a first, second, third time, and finally passed.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Mover and a seconder for 202606, the confirmation bylaw. Councillor Connors, Deputy Mayor, thank you.
Mayor Sloan, the motion reads, moved by Councillor Connors, seconded by Deputy Mayor Noble, that bylaw 2026-6 be read a first, second, third time, and finally passed.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. It's a record. Can I get a mover and a seconder for adjournment, please? Councillor Connors, sorry, Councillor Bachman, I looked at the wrong Dave. and Councillor Watson.
The motion for that is moved by Councillor Bogdan, seconded by Councillor Watson, that the special meeting of council dated Monday, January 26, 2026 be adjourned at 7:23 PM.
All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Thank you, folks.